Donald Trump just signed another major trade deal, this time with the European Union. A sweeping 15% tariff on most EU goods, hundreds of billions in energy purchases, and not a single mention of Canada. That silence isn't an oversight. It's a strategy. Trump favors deals that offer political optics, flashy, transactional wins he can promote. The EU gave him headlines and hard numbers. Canada, despite being America's largest trading partner, is already deeply embedded in US supply chains. It doesn't offer the kind of new market promises Trump wants. So, it's being pushed aside. But that doesn't mean Canada is powerless. Canada supplies 4 million barrels of oil to the US every day. It powers US homes, provides critical parts for manufacturing, and moves over 90% of its exports under the USMCA with minimal tariffs. The ties are already deep, and that's the challenge. Trump can't squeeze something new out of a system that's already functioning. Prime Minister Mark Carney understands this. He's refusing to sign a short-term deal just to avoid headlines. Instead, his government is holding firm, managing expectations, and preparing for a broader, more strategic negotiation, possibly at the 2026 USMCA review. We will only sign a deal that's right for Canada, Carney says. That strategy comes with short-term pain. Canada's steel, auto, aluminum, and lumber sectors are under pressure. But the economy is proving resilient. GDP dropped just 0.1% in April and may dip slightly again, but far less than expected. Now, Trump is threatening a 35% tariff on Canadian goods by August 1st. But ironically, his own words may have given Canada the edge. Just days before that deadline, Trump openly admitted, "We haven't really been focused on Canada." In the middle of high-stakes talks, he called Canada an afterthought. And that statement aligned perfectly with Ottawa's approach: don't rush into a bad deal. If talks break down, Canada now has cover. Washington walked away first. Trump's comment weakened his own position, contradicted his trade officials, and gave Canada reason to stall until the US strategy becomes coherent. And that might not happen anytime soon. Trump's trade team plans to use the 2026 USMCA review to push stricter origin rules and supply chain controls. But if the US imposes unilateral tariffs now, that leverage may collapse. Canada and Mexico can argue the rules were already broken, weakening Trump's credibility ahead of that critical review. Meanwhile, Canada is preparing its own parallel strategy. Ottawa is exploring a security and economic agreement to anchor North American defense and cooperation, on its terms. Quiet, long-term, and deliberate. But there's more. Ontario Premier Doug Ford recently floated something unthinkable a few years ago: deepening trade ties with China. If the US continues to destabilize the trade relationship, Ford said, Canada will look to partners who play fair, including Beijing. That's not a threat, it's a shift. Canada already trades over $43 billion annually with China. Provincial leaders are building export lanes, new pipelines, and supply chain alternatives. Even Canadian brewers are importing aluminum cans from China to avoid inflated US prices. If this pivot becomes permanent, the US won't just lose a trading partner, it could lose strategic ground in North America. Beijing would gain leverage, and American states reliant on Canadian exports, from Michigan to Pennsylvania, will feel the economic pain. Trump promised stronger trade deals. But what he's delivered is unpredictability, retaliation, and strategic drift. Canada isn't folding, it's recalibrating, and in this new era of transactional diplomacy, waiting may be Canada's boldest and smartest move yet. This is True State Report. Thanks for watching, we'll see you in the next video.